So we are back with a brand new episode of Walkin Talkin with Tim, and as you can see, I'm all Eagles up today, right? 6-0. Eagles. Eagles, right? So my guest today is the powerful, the one and only, you all know her, Jen Groover. She is an influencer, an author, a public speaker, and a
serial entrepreneur.
A plethora of things she's got going on. So let's start out by telling our audience exactly what it is you're doing now.
Well, now is a new chapter in my life. My twins are off to college and basically doing everything I put on hold for the last few years. So launching another book soon. Really focused back on the travel circuit of speaking now that events are finally really back in action. And a ton of corporate training, building growth-minded cultures, helping employers attract, retain the best talent possible, and help them really up-level their cultures so it's a place that they're not just
work.
Exactly, they're not just happy to be there, they're thriving there.
Exactly right. So let's take the wheel back, right? We're gonna rewind.
All right.
And go back to, we had a lot of conversation. You all know we do this. So you started out, you're a New York girl.
Yeah, well, my mom was a New York girl.
Yeah, but you're still kind of a New York girl yourself, right?
Yeah. So originally my mom's from Brooklyn, and so yes, very much big part of my young life was being in Brooklyn or being in North Jersey, and you know, you spend the most time with your mom usually growing up, so I had this mixed Philly, New York accent. It was really fun for the kids in grade school to make fun of. But yeah, I definitely could say I have a lot of New York attitude about me and had a place in New York for a decade. So
nice.
It's definitely part of my nature to some degree.
Which takes me to, so you said you went to O'Hara.
I did, yeah.
You lived in media.
Yep.
And you said when you were a little kid, when you were in school, you were incredibly, which I caught this as we were walking around, tenacious.
Spirited.
So tell that little story real quick. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, so I always tell people the way you can summarize my energy is, and my curiosity for life, is when I was in first grade, I was tied to my chair by Sister Elizabeth with yellow yarn, still clear as day to me. And
are you damaged?
I was left there for the rest of the day until my mom came to get me. But what was good is I didn't get in trouble from my mom. My mom was actually upset with Sister Elizabeth. But my mom encouraged the belief that she realized I was spirited and curious, and helped me harness that in a positive and productive, not disruptive way in life, hence being a speaker.
There you go.
Serial entrepreneur is how I control my ADD. And I learned your network is your net worth, and I realized I had a valuable skill set, yes. So all that time I thought I was being disruptive or just a little too curious.
You were building your network.
I was building my network, and I was just networking, meeting people, and it became a big asset later in life.
And you said that you found out that later in life, somebody that you knew in school who was also ADD and, you know, kind of like I was, you know, throwing stuff at other people in the classroom and that kind of stuff, being a pain in the butt, turned out to be, you know, a really great entrepreneur.
Yeah, most of my friends that are entrepreneurs were like this.
It's us crazies.
Right.
It's us crazies that
we were curious and maybe a little bit disruptive, but
yes,
in a good way, just needing to fill that void.
Exactly.
Of what's next?
What are we going to do next?
Right. That's what I still say to myself in life, what's next? Every time I get to a hurdle, what's next?
So we talked about energy just a little bit, right? So I told you as we were talking around, I could feel this. You can feel the energy coming off this human. It's crazy. It's intimidating, and it's good, you know. But I actually was about to ask 2 or 3 different questions, and she started to answer them before I asked them, which is crazy to me. So there's so much energy coming off you. So you are all about energy, quantum physics, and all that kind of stuff. So talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. I feel everything I feel from energy first, and very in tune with it. I have been ever since I was a kid, actually, before I could actually put vocabulary to it. And I always was very energized My friends to this day still laugh. They're like, how do you still have so much energy? And I just feel high on life all the time. And I find spaces of energy that even when I might not feel as energized that day, I feed off of it. So
Right.
whether it's calling friends that I know are high energy and I can feed off them, or going out for a walk this.
I do that too.
Walking is like one of the fastest ways for me.
No,
to
the calling.
Oh, the calling.
When
Okay.
my energy's down, I'm gonna call somebody and get amped up here for somehow.
Exactly. Music's another thing.
Yeah.
And I like to go to spaces that have energy. So that's why I've always lived in cities or high trafficked areas. I love concerts, I love sporting events, because I can feed off of people's energy. So to me, the thing I need to protect the most in my life is my energy, but also giving and channeling it to other people. I always say your frequency is your priority. And if you need to do something productive in life, make sure you're channeling your highest frequency self. And it just makes everything easier, because if you're low frequency, you're going to attract low frequency people, low frequency circumstances. You're high frequency, and this is quantum physics, everyone. You attract high frequency people and high frequency circumstances. There's a book called Power versus Force that I always refer people to understand this better. And you can actually gauge people's energy state or their emotional energy state
Right.
by hertz, just like you would music by
Oh,
hertz.
geez.
And so love is the highest. So the top 3 emotions that are highest is appreciation, gratitude, appreciation, love. And the lowest are jealousy, anger, and depression. So those are the lowest frequencies. So if you're in a low frequency state, you can constantly look for tools or ways to get in a high frequency state. And like I just said, walking, talking to somebody else who's high frequency, or listening to good music are some of the top 3 ways to do it.
Walking and talking.
Walking and talking. Well, speaking of talking, just so everyone knows, I'm a very fast walker. And
Yep.
Tim actually...
Trying to slow her down. It's
Tim
not
actually
easy.
advised me to slow down a little to hang with you all.
I knew it was gonna be hard. I'm trying to keep up with her.
I don't even know how to walk slow.
I don't either, actually, but I do it on purpose. I do it for a living now. So let's move into, you have 2 daughters, twins.
Yep, twins.
Hard to believe you had twins, right? You
Yeah.
have 2 of you, right? 2 more of you.
My mini me's, yeah.
Are they as energetic as you, though?
No, they're not. Their energy, well, their friends might see it differently. They
They're gonna probably watch this.
I know. They're a little bit more chill energy than me. So my one daughter jokes that they didn't need to talk as much or be as energetic, because
Right.
I would lead that for them. So, and then they also had each other growing up too. So they're definitely a little bit more chill, but they did acquire the constant thirst for living life. So just like I am spontaneously will go places and travel and go to concerts and want to be around people and experiences, they definitely develop that part of life and who I am.
So they're already traveling and they're already doing stuff.
Yeah, so the other day, my one daughter, Madison, who goes to school in Charleston, called me and she said, Mom, it was like 10 o'clock at night. She said, Mom, I just bought tickets for Pitbull tomorrow in Columbus, North Carolina, which is like 2.5 hours away. And I'm like,
How are you getting there?
How are you getting there? And where are you staying? And how are you getting back? She's like, I have it all planned out. And she did. And I said, go, I'm so proud of you. Like, that was so spontaneous. You didn't want to miss it. And she went and she had the best time. So they definitely realized that life is meant to be lived.
Yep. We're 18, right?
They're 18, yeah.
Right.
And, I have a very strong philosophy. A lot of people don't understand what really drives this constant desire to live life to its fullest. But when my mom was 47, from stress that was going on through the divorce with my father, she had a massive stroke, lived in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. And I watched this woman who was beyond me tenacious and constantly searching for the best things in life and finding out the best in others in life, really living life, could no longer live her life. She was a prisoner to her body in this wheelchair. And so it really shaped my view of you never know. Like, we all say it, you never know, but you actually really never know.
Yeah, do it now.
So do it, because you never know. And I will never allow anyone else to tell me to live differently than living to my fullest capacity.
That's something that a lot of people don't have the capacity to do right now.
Yeah.
You know, they can't even wrap their mind around, you know, I need to change a few things to make that happen.
Right.
You need to change your life.
We're just saying yes to more things.
Yes, well, being brave enough and courageous enough to say yes to things that you would think normally I would never do that.
Yeah.
We talked about this, the scarcity, right?
Yeah.
Scarcity mindset.
Or even just this fear of the unknown, or fear of being uncomfortable. One of my mom's sayings when I was a kid, which I did not like as a kid, was learn to become uncomfortable with being comfortable. And I would always think, well, I'm already uncomfortable. I'm in middle school. Like, who isn't uncomfortable? And she would say, like, you don't want to be comfortable. That's where people are not living. They're not living
Right.
when you're comfortable. And she would push me to be uncomfortable. And so
It's a good thought. I mean, that's great.
yeah, and so that's how I live now. Like, where if I feel comfortable, I have to think about what can I do? What can I do to throw myself?
How can I shake things up?
into the It's like when my girls moved to college, I was like, I'm gonna sell my house and just travel and go to Florida eventually and just be a little uncomfortable for a while and shake up that routine. And it's been a really fun few months.
Nice. So what is next? Like, well, first of all, you're an author, so talk about the book a little bit, because I don't know much about your book.
So
I haven't read it yet.
So the last book I released was called The More Method. Unfortunately, I released it in March 2020. And as you can imagine,
right?
it was really hard to be promoting something like
During that time.
Right,
yeah.
to promote anything during that time. But also, I had 123 speaking engagements that year already booked that were canceled. So we right now are doing a relaunch. That's in the works, where I added some post-COVID philosophy and lessons learned, and just what that last 2 years has really helped me learn more about people and mindset and fear and anxiety. And then
Keeping yourself on track.
Exactly. And the More Method is all about getting more of everything you desire in life. It's about learning how to be your best version self. It's all about learning how to optimize your potential and have the best life possible. And More is an acronym to teach people how to do that. So I really break down in a very granular way a structure, so to speak, for how you can get more out of life. M stands for learning to become more mindful.
Right.
You can't change where you are until you know where you are. So you have to really become more mindful of where you are,
doing, right?
what you're doing, and how you're living your life, and how you can improve upon that. The O stands for optimization of your physiological state. So learning how you treat your body as one of the only things you have in control. And so there's certain fundamental things that if you're not treating your body the best way possible on a regular basis, you're not going to be your best version self.
It's your vessel.
Exactly. And it's the thing you're in control of.
Right.
And then the R stands for learning how to be more responsive to life than reactive to life. Most people react to life,
Yes.
and they don't realize, wait, I maybe should pause more often, think things through a little bit more,
Make a plan.
and be more emotionally intelligent in how you handle things. And then the E is about learning to excel in all aspects of life. A lot of people think, well, if I'm really successful at work, then I'm going to be happy. Well, there's a lot of people that are really successful and that are really
And I'm
unhappy.
super unhappy.
Exactly, because they approach success in a linear way or a one-dimensional way. And to me, success is holistically about fulfillment. And so really nurturing your health and well-being, first and foremost, the health of your relationships, the second quadrant, your professional achievement, and then your personal evolution. So if we nurture all four core quadrants on a regular basis, then we become more holistically successful, therefore more fulfilled. And then the next book that I have in the works coming out is all about creating cultures, growth-minded cultures for companies, which we talked about in the beginning.
A lot of that, yep.
To learn how to invest more in developing employees and talent so that people can maximize their personal potential. Therefore, the company maximizes its potential as well.
You talked a little bit also about, I thought this was a cool little riff that you had about working with, was it Reebok?
Yes.
So I love that little story, that little thing that you did. Talk a little bit about that. Tell them about that.
So my first business by default was in but most entrepreneurs have a first business by default, right? It was in college, and I had been an athlete my whole life, and I had decided to not do it in a structured way anymore, but I needed to stay doing something. So I went home during a break, wound up flying into this step aerobics class. So I just completely aged myself, I know. And I fell in love with it because there was choreography, there was music. My brain was being challenged to focus on the choreography. It's like dancing for an hour. So I went back to my college and said to administrators, I would love to start a group fitness program, and I just need some steps, a boom box, again, aging myself, and a space. And I handled it like we did parties back in college. You would charge people $3 for a red Solo cup.
Right.
I charged people $3 for a class. So it became this really booming group fitness program. And after college, my degree was in psychology and education, and I continued my education in physiology and nutrition, and started a gym in Wilmington, Delaware, and kept challenging myself to become a master trainer. And then I tried out for Reebok on the aerobics performance team to basically travel the world as a fitness influencer back in the 90s and early 2000s. And that was really a big catapulting part of my career to all the things that I have done in the past and still do today. But
you got to work with that Reebok group.
Yeah, so we were doing influencer marketing back then before it was called influencer marketing, traveling the world, really spreading the fitness movement. And if you really think about it now, those of you who can remember that time period, in the mid to late 90s, the fitness movement was literally just in its infancy.
Yeah.
And we were part of making it.
We still had Richard Simmons.
Exactly. Yes. There were still leg warmers and yes, exactly. Jane Fonda, the whole
Jack
thing.
LaLanne was still around.
Exactly.
Left turn.
Yeah.
We're gonna make a left while we're going. Yeah.
All right. Sweet. So it was definitely a time period that a movement was beginning, which taught me a lot about business at that time, about how movements are created, and when you're creating new products or new services, you have to be a very patient person and really focus on the education of your business.
But it had to be really cool to work with the people from Reebok.
It was so much fun.
You know?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Well, it wasn't even, it was just literally being part of this.
That time period, right? It was taking off.
And literally going to these conventions all over the world with thousands of people just
and you're
exercising
speaking.
and just trying to be their best version selves. So
you were speaking in front of like what, 10,000 at a time?
Thousands all the time. I mean, every one of these events had thousands of people there, and sometimes, hence my raspy voice still to this day, sometimes the microphone worked, sometimes it didn't.
Notice the speed that we're going right now. Just want to point that out as I'm trying to keep up with this kid. Come on now.
I really don't know how to walk slow.
and just for the record, I knew I wasn't going to get to say a whole lot in this interview. I knew that going in. It's all good. So that's a lot of information, right?
Yeah.
So if anybody watching wants to get a hold of Jen Groover or wants to follow you in any way, shape, or form, how would they do that?
So I'm incredibly active on social media. So it's my name,
Who'd have guessed?
Jen Groover. I actually, that's one of the things I'm going to be better at. Even the last 2 years, I kind of stalled out a little bit. So I'm putting my best foot forward again on that one. But Jen Groover for Instagram, for Facebook, for LinkedIn. And I really didn't get into the whole TikTok world yet, but it's just, I keep trying to push myself to do it, but maybe, we'll see.
Yep. Well, thank you for being on.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone listening.
Yes, follow Jen. Jen's got a great story. Her social media tells you all about everything she's ever done. I've seen it. It's pretty cool. So thanks for being on. Everybody out there, keep walking, keep moving,
Keep talking.
and keep talking. And we will see you next time on Walkin' and Talkin' with Tim.
Bye, everyone.